Hey everyone, welcome back to Bear's Workshop. We had a request for a carburetor adjustment on the Echo equipment. So we're going to show you how to do it. So it was asked to me on a hedge trimmer on a 152. It is not a hedge trimmer, but it's the same carburetor adjustment. So we're going to go ahead and show you what we got to do to adjust the carburetor. There is a brass piece that's put in so it covers up the adjuster screw. You have to take that off. You got to take the carburetor off, and then you can adjust it. I'm going to turn this on. You can see how it's running. It's running okay. It really doesn't need much adjustment, but we're going to show you how to do it on a working model. And you can see how when you adjust the carburetor screw, how it goes from bad to good to bad to good just by turning the screw. So let me turn this on real quick, and you can see how it's running. So that's full throttle. It powers up pretty good, so there's really not too many issues. It probably could be tweaked just a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in. I'm going to remove the carburetor. We'll do that in some fast motion. And once we have the carburetor off, I'll show you where the brass plug is. We'll pull that out. We'll put it all back together, and we'll do a little bit of adjustments. So come a little closer and take a look. So we've already taken the filter off and the cover off. And if you know how to work on your stuff, you probably already know how to do this. But we've got the two long screws that hold the carburetor to the engine, to the motor itself. We have the two gas lines that are connected on the bottom. We're just going to disconnect both of those. And then we have the throttle cable, which we're going to disconnect here in a second. You really don't need to disconnect the throttle cable, but it's easier. And just like that, we have the carburetor off. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just squeeze out the gas that's still in the carburetor. Just put it on this rag. What we want to do is we want to take off the silver plate right here, and then this white piece of plastic right here, and we're going to remove this, and we're going to be able to get to our screw, which you can almost see it in there. So let's take off the 4 screws. There's 5 screws total. There's 4 on the outside. This is the plate that holds the bubble in. So we have our plate comes off with the bubble. This looks like a fairly new bubble. There's 1 more screw. And then underneath here is going to be a bunch of gaskets. You want to be careful you put them back just the way you found them. This screw is different than the other 4 screws. So one of these things is not like the other. Just don't put it in the wrong spot. So there we got or diaphragms or gaskets or whatever they are, but here's the piece that we're looking for. So see if we can focus in on that. There we go. It's this brass piece right here. What we got to do is pull that up. Underneath there is a screw that we can adjust. So getting that brass piece out can sometimes be difficult and require some hammering. And sometimes it's really easy. That one was really easy. But I just stick the awl in there and kind of bend it back. Once you've got that off, you no longer need this piece. So it was right in the garbage can. You didn't see it, but trust me, it was there. And then we go ahead and we just put it back together. I've been told, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, that you can't take that brass plug out and adjust these yourself, that you have to bring it into a dealer to have them do it. Something regarding emissions. But we are not trying to make this anything that's bad for the environment. We're just trying to make it run correctly, and you have to take that off in order to do it. So we're going to go ahead and put everything back together. And once we have it back on the unit, we'll go ahead and turn it on, and you want to hold it at full throttle and make your adjustments, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So I'm just rehooking up the gas lines. I got the throttle cable already connected. I'm going to go ahead and reprime it, get gas flowing. Okay, our bubble is filled, and we're going to go ahead and restart it. We're going to go ahead and turn it back on. We're going to use this tiny little screwdriver. It's very small, bigger than an eyeglass screwdriver, but small enough so that it's going to fit into that screw. Before you put it back on, it's best if you find a screwdriver that's going to work for this. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn the screw, and you'll hear how the throttle is going to change. It's going to be at full throttle, so it's going to be pretty loud, but you'll be able to hear the difference. So let's turn it back on. So you can hear as we're turning the screw, you could hear the throttle go down. We held it full throttle the entire time. But as we turned it clockwise, it started to go lower and lower. So then you want to start back. I went as far as, not as far as I could, but I just wanted you to be able to hear the difference. But once we did that, then we clocked it all the way back, going counterclockwise, and you just want to go until you have maximum throttle. Once you hear the throttle changing in a direction you don't want to go, then you just back it up, and then you found your sweet spot where it's going to run at the best throttle. Okay, once you've done that, you've got your carburetor adjusted. If after doing that your carburetor still has issues, you've got other issues with your carburetor, but that is how you're going to adjust your throttle. I've used this for carburetors where the idle is too low and it just won't stay on. You could just turn it a couple of half turns here, quarter turn, half turn, and it'll keep your throttle, your idle, just where you need it so that it doesn't cut off. Of course, if you've got bogging out, other issues, you can also try it and adjust the carburetor that way. This carburetor adjustment will work for a lot of different Echo carburetors. Obviously, it's going to work on this one. This is an SRM 225. It's going to work on the hedge trimmers, the 152s, the 150s, if anyone's still using them. Anything that has that brass plug in there where you can pull the plug out and go ahead and make the adjustment. And I should mention again, if you're not authorized to do this, or if you're not doing it for any legal purposes, or if you're going to try and violate any of the EPA guidelines regarding the emissions on this, please don't do it. I'm not recommending you do it. I'm recommending you stay with whatever federal guidelines there are, or state guidelines, to adjust your equipment. Do not screw with them, because they'll get you. Okay, so that concludes the adjustment on how to do this. If you want to see some of my other videos, take a look at one of these two. This also has some information on Echo stuff. And thanks for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe. Bye now.